When you think back over the last 10 nights, how was the quality of your sleep? Did you consistently get 7 to 8 hours each night? Do you wake feeling refreshed? Trouble sleeping has been associated with a number of health conditions such as obesity, diabetes, anxiety and depression, high blood pressure and the onset of heart disease. It's also linked to accidents such as falls, occupational injuries and traffic accidents. And how we are at work with poor sleep associated with being indecisive, low productivity and a low tolerance for your colleagues sometimes. But above all, getting a great night's sleep simply helps us to feel good. Today we're talking about what you can do to increase the likelihood of getting a great night's sleep and the importance of creating a sleep routine that works for your unique lifestyle and circumstances and your preferences. Life's too short to not do what you like, right? So let's get started. Well, hello, beautiful people, and welcome to the Project Joyful podcast. I'm your host, Tracy Tutty, your medical herbalist and high performance coach. So, hey, Project Joyful isn't just about being happy. It's about consciously creating a life you love. It's about remembering how to reconnect with your soul-centered joy. You know, that joy that comes from doing what you love, from living on purpose, and from being in a life that allows you to experience deep joy moment by moment. So hey, let's get started, shall we? Did you know that if you suffer with mild insomnia, then you're likely to be 58% less productive than people who sleep on average for 7 or 8 hours each night? And people who felt sleepy during the daytime were 50% less productive than their more alert colleagues. This comes from a study called the Sleep and Healthy Activity Diet, Environment and Socialization Study, or SHADES for short. And it defined mild insomnia as people who got regularly less than 5 hours sleep each night. I often work with people who are wanting to elevate their leadership and be more productive. And sleep is one of those things that simply gets deprioritized when you've got a lot going on. You're working extra hours, so you're getting to bed later, or you don't sleep well because you're thinking through the next day. Even though it feels so counterintuitive, the research shows that this is exactly the time when you really do need a good night's sleep. So what do we mean by a great night's sleep? It's a restorative sleep that lasts between 7 and 8 hours typically, and your going to bed and waking up time is consistent, give or take an hour, and most importantly, you wake feeling refreshed. Less than 6 hours of sleep is technically called sleep deprivation. More than 9 hours sleep a night is called oversleeping, so it's a fine balance. And you can't cheat the clock on this by catching up on your Z's on the weekend with a lie-in of more than an hour. So if you're getting 5 or 6 hours of sleep during the week and then on the weekend you're sleeping in to recover, well, unfortunately you're undoing all of your sleeping in goodness. Researchers call this social jet lag. And social jet lag is where there's more than 2 hours difference between what you get on a day-to-day basis during the week and what you might get on the weekend for your sleep. This inconsistency has been linked to some health conditions such as heart disease, obesity and diabetes. It also increases the likelihood of poor eating habits as we reach for that magical salt, sugar, unhealthy fat combo to try to feel more alert and get more energy. Now, the key strategy to great sleep is, of course, being able to switch off from your day, because this helps you to sleep longer and fall asleep faster. It also helps you to get more deep sleep. And sleeping deeper is where you get your restorative sleep. The most effective way is to create a sleep routine that helps you switch off and helps you to unwind. And this really is about playing around with options until you dial in the routine that works best for you and for the lifestyle that you find yourself in this moment. The other thing to bear in mind is that it's really important to rule out any underlying health conditions that are stopping you from getting a great night's sleep. So talk with a medical professional to make sure that you're not suffering from, for example, obstructive sleep apnea syndrome, which is where you stop breathing and then you wake yourself up because you're not breathing. Now, I know that sounds really scary, but lots of people are doing this throughout the night and not even knowing about it. You get little skips in your breathing rate, which disrupts your sleep. But there's also long-term health implications with this as well. So if you think you remember waking up and you're gasping for air, or you've been told that you're a significant snorer, get it checked out by your doctor just for peace of mind, if nothing else. Now, as we said, the research has shown that ideally we want around 8 hours of deep, healing, restorative sleep. That's your goal. Now, I know this is going to be a game changer for you, simply because so many of my clients tell me that getting consistent quality sleep has given them more energy, more focus, and it's helped them to feel happier within themselves. So let's talk about what you can bring into your sleep routine. I'm going to give you some options. First of all, we want to start by deciding what time you're going to wake up each morning and then deduct 8 hours from that. This is your go to sleep time. Now give yourself 30 minutes of getting ready to sleep time, and this time is your time for bed. Keep to this time every single day, even on the weekends if you can, but you do have that hour of variation if you need it. Okay, so let's take a look at optimizing your sleeping environment. First up, keep your bedroom as your bedroom. That's right, it's reserved for sleeping and for intimacy only. So, the TV's not in there anymore, you're reading in a different room, you're eating in a different room, and we do this because it cues your mind. So when you enter your bedroom, your mind knows, okay, this is the place for sleep or intimacy. Nothing else is happening in this room, so I'm going to prepare my body and my mind for that. As a result, neurotransmitters are dispatched and you can feel your body beginning to wind down even more. Keep your room calm, keep it clean, dust and light free. And you want to do what you can to minimize noise. So check out some noise and light cancelling curtains and just really do everything you can to quieten down that room. I know that can be tricky, especially if you're living in the city. Now make sure that your phone gets put in a different room. Use a manual alarm clock to wake you up in the morning if you need one. Remove or minimize any sources of blue light. So blue light is the light that comes from laptops, TVs, your phone, and some alarm clocks. Get that out of your room because this is the type of light that resets your circadian rhythm. And when that blue light hits your retinas, your brain's going to be going, okay, we've got some blue light going on, so it must be sunrise. Time to wake up, time to get alert, let's go. You want to be doing the opposite of that. Now let's talk about temperature. This can be tricky for some, especially if you're a hot sleeper. So the optimum temperature for sleeping is on the cooler side. So keep your room at around 15.5 to 19.5 degrees Celsius. So that's 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. If you sleep hot, you're perimenopausal or menopausal, invest in layers of bedding so that you can shed a layer at a moment's notice. And experiment with your bedtime attire fabrics as well. Try cotton, linen or silk as they tend to keep you cooler. And I know some of my ladies also find that the sporty microfibers are quite helpful because they wick moisture away from your body. Creating your optimal sleep routine is about testing and tweaking. So be really aware of what's working for you and just tweak the other stuff until you get that perfect sleep routine. And remember, it can change over time as well. So the first step, as we said, is to decide on your wake up time. Deduct 8.5 hours off that time and that's your bedtime. So for example, if you need to wake up at 7 a.m. tomorrow, you take 8.5 hours off that and that means 10:30 p.m. is your non-negotiable bedtime. Okay, so let's go a little bit deeper on the options. Your next piece is to work out all the things that you need to get done between when you get home from work, for example, and when you go to bed. Make a list of all the things and estimate how long you need for each thing and be generous with how long you need.
You don't want to feel rushed. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to list them in the order that they need to happen. So, for example, maybe the first thing you do when you get home is spend some time with the kids. Then you get dinner on. And then after dinner is done and your partner has tidied up the kitchen and loaded everything into the dishwasher, you put the kids to bed. Then you hang out with your partner for a bit, and then next you get your clothes ready for tomorrow, you have a bath, and finally you go to bed. I know when you list it down, you manage to fit a lot in between when you get home from work and when you go to bed, right? Often that's a surprise. So, as we said, 10:30 p.m. is when the lights go out, and that's when you're going to sleep. So let's start from the bottom of your list. So, for about 20 minutes before bed, you're going to have a soak in the bath with some lovely lavender essential oil. Now, lavender is really relaxing. It's also really calming, and it also soothes your mood. You could use chamomile, neroli, or rose if lavender's not your thing. So you've worked out you need around 20 minutes to run your bath. Get in the bath, get out, get into your silky PJs. Do this in a nice, calm, non-rushed way. So let's say 10 minutes before you're jumping in the bath, you're getting your clothes ready for work the next day. 45 minutes before that is when you're hanging out with your partner. 20 minutes before that, getting the kids ready and into bed. Okay, now you've got your sleep routine timeline. Ta-da! That's your bedtime routine for a start. And I'll post this up on Instagram and LinkedIn because it's often easier to see it when you're putting it into practice. Okay, so now it's your turn. Write out your bedtime routine and then just notice how it feels for you. If it feels a bit rushed, add in some more time or take away a task. This is a great opportunity to enlist some help so that a few more household chores are shared around each night. Most importantly, keep tweaking your timeline until you dial it into the routine that works best for you. Now, even with the best intentions, there are always times when you've had a rough night. You know, you haven't been able to get to sleep or you keep waking up. So let's talk about what you can do during the next day to help you get through that. So here's a list of I've had quite a night energy boosters. If you can the next day, you can take a nap, but make sure you're not overnapping by limiting your nap time to 20 to 30 minutes. Set a timer with some nice tinkly chimes so that you're not jolted awake. Reduce the stimulants that night. Get rid of caffeine and nicotine for a few hours before bedtime. And if, like me, you're sensitive to caffeine and you enjoy it, I love the taste of coffee, then make sure you're not having any caffeine after 3 p.m. Next day, some great herbal options include rhodiola, ginkgo, or panax ginseng if you get on well with it. Take these early in the day rather than in the late afternoon. Other things you can do is to move your body every day and find something that you enjoy when you're moving. That's important. And it's as important as the moving about bit. Make it fun and do something you love to do and do it at least 3 times a week. And ideally when you're doing this, you want to be getting some daylight on those retinas. Why is this? Well, the research shows that when daylight filters in through our eyes, our brain interprets that as daytime. Let's get moving and be alert about it. So you're resetting that circadian rhythm. And you want to be getting that sunlight onto your eyeballs without it being filtered through sunglasses or car windows or house windows. You want to just be walking around outside for half an hour every day, just getting that light onto your retinas. This also helps with jet lag, by the way. So other things that you can do is you could have your last meal 2 to 3 hours before going to bed. And make sure that meal is nice and light. So this is not the time to be eating your heavy, rich, high sugar or fatty foods, or anything that you personally find a little hard to digest. So if you've got any food sensitivities and you decide that your love for that food is worth a little bit of discomfort, then enjoy it at a time that's not close to bedtime. So nothing like that in your evening meal. No TV or blue light within 3 hours of bedtime. If you can, run yourself a warm bath. It's super relaxing. And you can even make a herbal bath bag just to add even more of a relaxation factor to it. Add in some relaxing essential oils like lavender and chamomile. It's also great to add some whole fat milk with your essential oils into the bath. And if you like an evening drink, consider making yourself a calming bedtime herbal tea. This is the time to do things that you personally find relaxing, because this is about what works for you. So maybe it's a little bit of meditation. Maybe you'd like to do a bit of colouring in. You could even do this with the kids. Some calming yoga sequences or a little bit of stretching before you go to bed. My invitation to you is to begin experimenting with the sleep routine options and craft the routine that works for you. Play with it. Tweak it. Keep moving it about until it's just right. Getting a consistent quality sleep of around 8 hours each night will boost your immunity. It will increase your positivity and you'll be on fire at work the next day. So play with creating a bedtime routine and commit to it for just 10 days. Tag me on Instagram and LinkedIn and let me know how it's going and those things that make your sleep just right. I promise you, 10 nights of quality sleep and you're just going to love how it makes you feel. Sending you lots of love. Bye for now.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's podcast. Can I ask you a favour? If our conversation spoke to you today, could you please take a moment to leave a 5-star review? Your review will help people discover this podcast, and together we can create a world where there's even more love and more laughter. And if you want to hear more from the Project Joyful podcast, just click the subscribe button. Bye for now.